Well, for me, it was a Wednesday. At that time, I had just relocated to Bali after a few years in Singapore. And I remember living in a beautiful 3-bedroom villa with a garden and a swimming pool, and I even had a little puppy named Lola. To be honest with you, on the outside, my life looked quite complete, and all my friends and family really thought that I had it all. But actually, that was not the case. Because on the inside, I felt empty. You see, I was on a repetitive routine, working from home, doing the exact same job that I was doing in Singapore for 3.5 years, with absolutely no purpose or meaning anymore. I remember waking up every day, stepping into my big office, and diving into my work, day after day after day. It was the same routine, and it really felt like I was running on autopilot. Then I thought, maybe more money will make things better. Well, let me tell you, I've never been so wrong in my life. I literally went on a mission to get a salary raise, honestly thinking that more money would make me happier. Actually, I'm curious to know, raise your hand if you think that more money can bring happiness. Well, guess what? After obtaining my raise and the money that I wanted, it didn't bring the happiness that I expected. Like, at all. And at that time, I realized that something was still not right. I could feel it, and I could hear this inner voice saying to me, more money is not the answer. But I chose to not really listen at that time. Until a few days later, coming back to that Wednesday, it started like any other day. I woke up, I had my morning routine at the beach with my dog, then I came back home and started my day of work. And I think it was around 12 p.m. that I decided to take a midday break and hang my laundry. Simple and ordinary tasks. Yet, I was miles away from knowing that the simple task would change my life forever. Here's what happened. As I went to my drying rack, mindlessly putting my clothes on it, a thought came to me. It was so loud, it was so clear, that I could not ignore it. You want to know what it was? So it looked like this. I can quit. 3 words, 3 simple words that would eventually set me on a new path. And as I heard these 3 words in my head, realizing that I was allowed to quit my job, you want to know the first thing that I did? I burst into tears. Not tears of sadness, not tears of joy. It was tears of relief, knowing that I was not married to that job, that I didn't have to stay there until I was retired, and I honestly believed that at that time, but that I could simply quit. And from that moment, I went to see my partner and I told him, that's it, I'm gonna quit my job. And actually it looked more like, I think I'm gonna quit my job. And he looked at me and he said, well, maybe, wait, until you feel more calm. And he was right. I couldn't take such a big decision while being all emotional. But it was as if something had been brewing inside of me for a while. In fact, weeks before my emotional breakdown, I signed up for a 5-day walking retreat that would actually start the very next day. I know, can I be more cliche than that, going on a retreat in Bali? But there was this gut feeling that pushed me into signing up. And I'm so glad I did. So the next day, after my laundry day, on Thursday, I started my 5-day walking retreat. organized by a regenerative travel company, and we walked from center to North Valley for 67 kilometers. Imagine, 5 days by myself with new people in places I had never set foot before. We not only walked from gorgeous locations like rice fields, mountains, bamboo forests even, we also did a lot of activities with our hands. Back to the roots, back to the soil, and back to nature. I remember we picked up fresh vegetables, we cooked with herbs that we picked up from a farm, and we also did organic fertilizer using cow's poop. Gross, I know. But overall, it was an amazing experience, because for 5 full days, we were just being in nature. And here's what happened. With every step that I took, I started hearing my own voice again. Not the voice of fear, not the voice of doubt, but the voice of truth, coming from my heart. The one that I had silenced for far too long. I remember talking to the people in my group and telling them, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to launch my company. And there was this other part of me that was like, excuse me, you're going to what? But it just felt right, you know? It was as if something had finally clicked into place. Like my body knew all along what my mind had been resisting. And that's when I realized I wasn't just reconnecting with nature, I was reconnecting with myself. As simple as that. Because as humans, we are nature, and we tend to forget that. We keep separating the word nature from ourselves, especially in today's connected world. And the more disconnected we are from nature, the more disconnected we become from ourselves. Think about it. When was the last time you went for a walk without your phone? When was the last moment you sat in silence, in nature, without even checking the time? You see, we are the most connected generation in history, constantly online, always scrolling, and yet, we've never felt more disconnected from ourselves, from each other, and from the world around us. We spend hours scrolling, watching, consuming, buying, but rarely pausing, rarely reflecting. And that disconnection comes at a cost. We feel lost, we feel stuck, and we feel exhausted without even knowing why. Because we're drowning in so much digital noise, right? But here's some good news. You, all of you, can do something about it. So recently, I came across this very interesting Japanese concept called Shinrin Yoku. It literally translates in English as forest bathing. And no, it's not about having a bath in a forest. There's this study that was published in the National Library of Medicine back in 2022 that highlights how Shinrin Yoku, or forest bathing, promotes both our physical and mental health by reducing stress. And it's not about hiking or jogging in a forest. It's simply about being in nature, using our 5 senses to reconnect with the world around us. So I know it sounds very abstract right now. I thought, why not experiment a Shinrin Yoku all together, right here, right now? Who's ready for a little experiment? Raise your hands. Yay! All right, I invite you all to close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. And again, deep breath in and out. imagine yourself in a beautiful forest. You're surrounded by big trees, very lush trees. The sun is shining, the air is fresh and crisp and filled with the scent of earth and wood. And now, let's bring this forest to life and simply listen. Gently open your eyes and take a moment to notice how you feel. Do you feel more relaxed? More present? Maybe even a little lighter? You see, nature isn't just beautiful, it's powerful. It has a way of clearing our minds, of bringing us back to what actually matters, and helping us hear our own voice again. And that's exactly what happened to me. I left that trek with absolute clarity. Clarity regarding my next steps. I remember coming back home, putting down my backpack, and finally taking the courage to quit my job. It was 3 years ago today, literally 3 years ago, on 22nd March 2022. I took a leap of faith that led me to launching my company GreenPush to raise sustainability awareness in a fun and engaging way, and soon launch Positive Push, mentoring women to take action on their vision and goals. And I haven't looked back since. Not because I had a perfect plan, not because I had all the answers, but because I finally listened and trusted myself. And it all started with something as simple as being in nature. A simple act that led me to listen, truly listen to my inner voice. So now, I have a question for all of you. When was the last time you truly listened to yourself? When was the last time you gave yourself the space to reflect? And for that, you don't have to go on a 5-day trek. You don't even have to go to Bali. But what if, starting today, you made a commitment to reconnect, to step outside, to breathe, and to walk in nature without a destination and without a goal? Because clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from creating space. And when you do, you might just find your next big idea, your next big decision, or maybe, just like me, your next life-changing moment. Thank you.